One thing I think that surprises homeowners about selling a home is that the homes that sell the fastest and for the strongest prices are not always the most updated homes, but the ones that feel the most intentional. And there's a big difference between spending money and preparing strategically. So today, I want to walk through what actually moves the needle when preparing your home for sale and where I think homeowners waste the most time, energy, and possibly money. Hi, I'm Allie Hudler with the Hudler Homes team of Compass Real Estate. And if you're thinking about selling your home, this is the episode for you. Because preparing a home for sale can quickly become very overwhelming. People start to wonder, should we renovate the whole house? Should we paint? Should we start replacing things? How much money should we spend? What actually matters to buyers? And sometimes the internet makes you think it needs to be a full-on HGTV renovation. And usually that's just not the case. One thing I've noticed is that buyers usually respond really well to homes that feel clean, bright, just well-maintained overall, and just emotionally easy to walk through. And that often matters more than perfection. Buyers want to understand, how does the home actually feel? How does it flow? And can they picture themselves living there? And clutter and deferred maintenance things often kind of interrupt that feeling of, wow, this could be for me. A lot of the times, the things that will make the biggest difference when you're improving your home for sale are paint. First and foremost, I always say paint. A deep clean, you always want to declutter and depersonalize the home as well. And sometimes it's also minor repairs. Maybe you had a minor leak that the ceiling needs to just be painted, but everything's functioning properly and no more leaking. Great, let's fix that up. Landscaping is a huge thing too, especially if it's coming into the spring market. We want everything to be fresh. Let's get some new flowers out there. Anything that will help your curb appeal really pop in that first impression as buyers walk up to your home. And I know I touched on it, depersonalizing. I think this is a huge one. Buyers want to be able to walk through a home and really envision themselves in the home. They don't want to see pictures of your family or everything that you have on the walls. We usually want to kind of neutralize everything so it feels a little bit simpler and less distracting as they walk through. And these things can really just create kind of emotional breathing room for buyers. And emotional buyers are usually the ones that will want to make the best offers and move quickly. I often see homeowners spending a lot of money in areas that don't necessarily provide the best return on their investment. So a lot of things you can do is just make sure you're updating tastefully for buyer psychology, not just your personal preferences. And keep in mind that not every kitchen needs a full renovation and not every bathroom needs to be fully torn apart. I always like to walk through my clients' homes with them. We'll see, how are things feeling? What updates might need to be made? But again, I don't always like to recommend overly improved rooms, bathrooms, things like that. Sometimes we just want to make sure things feel clean, simple, cohesive, like it's flowing nicely. And of course, if there's minor repairs, we do like to touch those up, but otherwise it doesn't have to feel like a full-on luxury renovation. One thing that I would really encourage homeowners to do is to start preparing mentally before you start preparing physically. Once you decide to actually move, your house feels a little bit different. I know when we moved, we're like, all right, let's get out of here. It's time to go. We were excited for our next step in our lives. And once you're kind of waiting till the last minute, you're thinking, oh my gosh, all right, we have a lot to do. We got to declutter. We have all this stuff around. We got to get rid of it, depersonalizing, all the things, just simplifying in general. But if you can start sooner than later, I say maybe tackle a closet, tackle one room. You can start with small things, but keep in mind, as you're putting all the things in boxes, you're really just starting to help yourselves pack a little bit sooner. But trust me, once you kind of have it in your mind that you're moving, start early. Start just preparing yourself and thinking about how you want to organize things. I know one thing that I did when we were moving, I started boxing up towels. I said, okay, we don't need all these towels. Let's just put a bunch of them in a box. Since we don't need all of them, we'll just wash the ones we have. Let's start putting away clothes that are for the opposite season. So if we're in summer, let's put all the winter clothes away. Let's start packing those things up that we just know we're not going to touch. If you have extra dishes and things like that, obviously keep what you need until right towards the very end. But there are a lot of things that you can do to start prepping, taking photos off the wall, wrapping them up, things like that. So it's usually the homeowners that start preparing earliest are the calmest through their move, and it really just makes things go a little bit smoother. And keep in mind, for my sellers who are living in the home while they're putting the house on the market, I always love to send one of my interior design friends through. They will go room by room with you as well and make basically a full to-do list of which items you should keep, which items you should put away, which you should move, We've even seen, a chair or beanbag from one room brought into another room, repositioning couches, things like that. So you can work with the furniture and the decorations you have in your home to get it ready for staging, for photos, showings, all that fun stuff too. But again, it's so much easier when you can break it down by one room, one storage unit, one closet, you name it. And I think the momentum really matters there more than the perfection. And at the end of the day, preparation is really all about leverage. The more prepared you are, the better your home will show, the more buyers will feel emotionally connected to it. And I know it's so tough. I was just chatting with clients of mine who have 2 little girls and they're so cute. And I know with my boys, you put something away and 2 minutes later, they're pulling that thing out. So I know, especially if you've got kids, it is quite the challenge to keep everything clean and tidy. But again, the more you can prepare ahead of time, put a bunch of toys that aren't being used in a box and put it in your garage or in a closet to store. And sometimes kids like a little bit of variation too. So put things away and then flip them soon. Well, that way it keeps it a little bit less cluttered in your main living areas at a time. But ultimately, buyers who feel great, they feel confident, they move faster, they're less likely to negotiate for a lot of things if the house is looking great and they're not seeing too many obvious repairs that are needed. And of course, they're just going to be a little bit more emotionally attached. And that's what we're looking for. We want to create that really good feeling for them to walk through. And I must say, not every home needs the same strategy. Some houses are already looking like a model home. They just need a few tweaks and just a few things here and there to adjust to really make it shine. Some houses, I think, could use a little bit more love and TLC and the decluttering and the depersonalizing, and that's great. We're here to help you and give suggestions for that. And then some houses in a situation where you may have kids or dogs, or you just want privacy and you don't want a ton of people coming through your home. It could be that you want to try to sell your house off market. And one thing that I love about working with Compass is we have such an amazing platform that allows us to market your home off market. So we have something called Compass Private Exclusives. We have something called Compass Coming Soon. Both of those kind of pre-marketing strategy phases allow us to market your house. You can have pictures. You don't have to have pictures. You can have a price. You don't have to have a price. But the beauty of it is there's really no downside to you as a seller. There's no public price history. So if a buyer sees your house today and then 2 months from now, they will not know how long your house has been in the market or if you've had any adjustments to your price. And again, no days on market there. So there's really, those two statuses are saving you from any public data that could count against you when buyers are considering your home, because they don't start to wonder, this house has been on the market for 45 days. Why hasn't it sold yet? I must be able to get some money off the price. So we always like to personalize your strategy and make sure that we're tackling your listing and presenting in the best light that's best for you, for your family, and ultimately hopefully get you the best price with the best terms. So if you're in the beginning stages and thinking about maybe selling your house soon, the best place to start is to have a strategy session. I'd love to come over to your house. Let's walk through. Let's talk about what your goals are, and we'll really help you decide what you need to do to prepare your home to get it ready for sale. So it's not always about renovating everything. It's about coming up with a plan. And that's why we want to look at, what are the priorities for renovations and preparation, timing, any sort of equity leverage, likely return, because we don't want to just recommend doing all of these repairs or updates if it's really not the best thing for your market, for your neighborhood. So we can walk through with you. One thing that I loved, we had a client who was looking to sell his house and he had tenants in there for years. I think it was like 15 to 18 years or something crazy. And although they were great tenants at the time, when they moved out, the house was just in really bad shape, a lot of disrepair. So we said, okay, looking at the comparable sales, if you sold your home without any updates, you'd be in this price range. But if you could put $50,000 to $70,000 into it, you could sell for this price range. And that's a huge risk. And most people won't go that route. This is not a typical scenario, but it worked out really well for him. He did the renovation. It looked incredible. And they ended up getting 3 offers over asking. Really, really great terms for the seller. And I loved hearing from him. Allie, I know you said you couldn't guarantee me anything, but I feel so relieved knowing that we have an offer in hand and all this work was worth it. That was a very specific scenario for him, and that worked for him in the moment based on his situation. But again, some people we walk through, we're like, hey, you just need some paint touch-ups. Let's adjust, a couple little things around each room and just declutter, depersonalize, and you're good to go. So that's why there is no one size fits all, and we really do want to help our clients understand the best possible scenario for themselves. And yeah, while we can't really guarantee results ever, we have seen what works, what doesn't, what's needed, and what's just not necessary. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one, I would love to chat, get more details on how our process works. Feel free to reach out. I would love to talk with you, and our team is always available. We love helping sellers, especially those transitioning to the next phase of their life. So if that sounds like you, we would love to chat. I'm Allie Hudler with Compass, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.